Capcom, Capcom, Capcom. Why are you still trolling us fans to this day? Now, I'm sure most of you know what I'm going to talk about, but for those of you who may not have been reading up on the bullcrap Capcom has been pulling, well, listen up. I'm going to be focusing on Mega Man for the most part, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the other crap that's been going on as well. Mega Man. In 2010, Keiji Inafune was tired of Capcom's management who are really just a bunch of assholes, as well as the state of Japanese game development as a whole. So he left them to form his own company called Concept. Meanwhile, at TGS that year, Capcom announced Mega Man Universe, a game where you could create your own levels a la Little Big Planet, as well as play as different characters, which included Bad Boxer, Mega Man, and Ryu from Street Fighter. The game was slated to be released on Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network, and was also to be the first time he was known as Mega Man in Japan instead of Rockman. At about the same time, they announced Mega Man Legends 3 for the 3DS, a game many fans have been waiting over 10 years for. Capcom also opened an online channel called the Dev Room, which allowed fans to not only get insight on the development process, which no other company does, but also allowed them to submit artwork and other ideas for the game. This sounded interesting, but ultimately it was poorly executed. Capcom didn't advertise the Dev Room anywhere except on Capcom Unity. Because of that, Capcom didn't see much activity from the Dev Room. A few months later, Capcom goes and cancels Mega Man Universe because of various circumstances. Many believed it revolved around Inafune's departure or the earthquake in Japan. I also heard that the testers thought the game had bad controls. A few more months later, Capcom backstabs us and cancels Mega Man Legends 3 as well. A prototype was to be released as a paid demo when the eShop launched, which was delayed a little, in order to gauge interest. If there was enough interest in the game, Capcom would release it. But no, they canceled that as well. And to troll us in the face, the asshole who runs Capcom Europe's Twitter blamed the cancellation on the fans not being involved in the Dev Room, and when asked questions by other Capcom fans on Twitter, he gave nothing but smart-ass remarks. You'd think this is the worst, right? Well, it is, but the fun doesn't stop here, folks! Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Just before the Mega Man Legends 3 cancellation announcement, the game's roster was leaked. There were less characters than Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and the ones representing the Mega Man franchise were Zero, Tron Von, and... wait, that's it. No Mega Man to be found. When questioned by fans, producer Nitsuma just came up with nothing but bullcrap excuses, like the fact that Mega Man only fights with his Buster. You do know that he can take weapons and powers from his enemies, right, Nitsuma? Well, the closest thing we had to Mega Man being in the game is Zero's alternate costumes that made him look like X and Axel, which, by the way, is paid on-disc DLC. This, as well as the terrible netcode that plagued the online mode, led fans to believe that Mega Man is dead. 6 months later, the Ultimate update was announced, and in it were 12 new characters, 6 per side, which include Phoenix, Wright, and Strider. New modes and fixes that were supposed to be patched into the original game, but weren't. And of course, no Mega Man. They didn't release this as a DLC expansion. Instead, they made it retail disc only and charged $40 for it. And regarding Mega Man, Nitsuma once again gave bullcrap excuses like excluding him because he didn't place high enough in a poll on Capcom Unity when he, as in Mega Man X, clearly did. Mega Man X on iOS. Oh well. Man, does Capcom want Mega Man dead or what? They took X1, broke off each level into sections, charged for power-ups, made it so that he's always charging his Buster until you press the shot button, and made the overall game look like Flash. How about porting the Maverick Hunter X remake that was on PSP instead? Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Where do I begin, folks? We have 12 characters that are on-disc DLC to be released this fall for $20, when the Vita version gets it for free, by the way, for $40 for the whole game. And Bad Box Art Mega Man is among them, and only on the Vita and PS3 versions, even though it was on disc, locked away, for the Xbox 360 version of the game, in which they also took out Tag Team Co-op mode for online. Why the hell would Ono put this thing in this game? Why? Mega Man crossover. Speaking of Street Fighter, isn't it almost its 25th anniversary? It is. What about Mega Man's? Yep, almost is too. So what's Street Fighter getting? A copy of every game released this generation, that includes all of those that are on PSN right now, a huge soundtrack collection, all the movies, and I believe a figurine or something. Now that's one hell of an anniversary package right there, folks, for only $150. But Mega Man? Oh, just this vomit called Mega Man Crossover. It's an iOS social RPG where Wily and Sigma trap every incarnation of the Blue Bomber in an alternate dimension, and Light and Cossack have to build a special robot which the player customizes to build his or her own unique Mega Man to combat their evil plot. Oh, and it has an autoplay button so the game can play itself, and Mega Man X iOS graphics. Awesome. Not. What the hell is this, Capcom? We get this, while Japan also gets this, and also a soundtrack compilation from the classic series? And a few other things. Resident Evil is turning into Call of Duty. Asura's Wrath has its true ending as paid DLC. No plans to release any more Monster Hunter games on PlayStation hardware. Steel Battalion Heavy Armor? Kinect? What is that? Is it something we can muck up? Alright then, we'll muck it up in every way possible. And for Ace Attorney Investigations 2 and every other game and franchise that's out now in Japan by Capcom, well, they have no plans to localize any of that. Although I will let Rosario Vampire slide since it's a visual novel based on the anime manga series of the same name. Capcom, until you get your act together, you won't be seeing a cent, that's right, a cent of my money. And unless they have something planned for Mega Man at TGS, well, I think it's safe to say that this has happened.